Hi, I'm Andy Marcus, the president of the International Photographic Council, part of the United Nations as a NGO, non-governmental organization. And we would love to invite you to our luncheon on October 18th at the United Nations. Our mission at International Photographic Council is peace through photography, the universal language. We would love you to be there. We're going to have Neil Manowich, the president of Sony Electronics, as the keynote speaker, as well as giving out awards to a bunch of worthy photographers and some scholarships as well. You can get more information if you go to ipc-un.org. Look forward to seeing you all.
Welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast, the photo imaging industry's leading news source. Here's your host, Gary Pageau. The Dead Pixel Society podcast is brought to you by Media Clip, Advertech Printing, and IP Labs.
Hello again, and welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. I'm your host, Gary Pageau, and today we're joined by a repeat guest, but who's got some great news, Benedikt Greifenhofer, the CEO of GotPhoto. Hi, Benedikt. How are you today?
Hi, Gary. I'm wonderful. Thank you. And thanks for pronouncing the name right. That was awesome. That's great.
I've had a couple tries at it. So this is, I think, your second or third time being a guest. So hopefully by now I've solved that riddle.
Flawless.
So for the people who aren't aware, I can't imagine who it is at this point, but can you just briefly talk about GotPhoto as a company?
Sure. So GotPhoto is a SaaS tool for photographers. We see ourselves as basically the business suite for a photographer, where you can manage your workflow, your sales, your marketing, everything from one place. And we mainly did that in the past in volume photography, so schools and sports, but also moving into other photography types currently. So full-on business suite, that's basically what you're looking at.
As a SaaS, you've got like a subscription model, correct? There's no software to install per se. It's just a monthly subscription type thing. What size businesses do you normally cater to?
GotPhoto has been really successful looking at what we call the SMB market, small, medium-sized photographers. So mainly our customers are doing everything themselves or have a handful of employees on board and going up to a size to $1 million or more in sales. But that has been our sweet spot. And we scaled that quite well in Europe and also in the US and Canada. And helped a lot of business owners do what they like to do, which is photography. Nobody becomes a photographer to deal with all the business stuff, right? That's how it is.
Exactly. As one of my good friends in the industry says, nothing kills your love of photography faster than starting a photography business. So since we've last talked to you, there's been an ownership change at GotPhoto, an investment. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that has meant for the company going forward?
Yeah. So we got a new partner on board who's EQT Growth, and private equity fund from Europe, namely from Sweden, which is an incredible partner to the business, is opening a lot of doors, obviously financially, but also with advice. They brought on a really great board, to name two people, is Eric Huggers, our chairman, who worked at different companies before, and also, for example, Jeff Weiser, the former CMO of Shopify. They advise us as well. So it's just a great combination. It's a very, very successful and professional organization that moved in here, helped us with advice, business advice on growing the company, but also gave a financial injection, obviously.
And that came about 10 or 11 years into your company's history. So you had already been very well established and had a great track record going into that. Are you seeing that happening overall in the volume photography market, where there's some investments happening in the space?
Yeah, I mean, the point of GotPhoto's acquisition or ownership change is mainly also coming from being such a successful company.
Sure.
If you look at how we built the business, we did it with minimal funding. We bootstrapped the business very long. We bootstrapped the whole internationalization to the United States, which sometimes people don't believe us. But everything is basically out of our own cash flows. And that has been very attractive to a lot of potential investment lenders. And that continues to be the case. And I think if we look at the volume photography market or the photography market in general, it's one of the markets that's not hugely digitized at this point in time. And I think if we find a very sustainable company like GotPhoto, or there are also others in our ecosystem, that can be quite a good investment target, I think. And also the thesis that we created together with EQT is around the market is growing very quickly based on the digitization, but also based on the market dynamics, and that creates a very, very good opportunity for different investors, I believe.
And speaking of investment, you've just recently announced that you've made one or acquired a company. Can you talk about that and the direction that's going to take GotPhoto?
Yeah, I remember in our press release of like bringing EQT on board, we hinted a little that opened doors for inorganic growth. And that is exactly something that we're looking at right now, where it makes sense. We're not like people, as I said, we bootstrap the business. We're not people that will go out and just buy a ton of companies.
Right.
We do it where it makes sense for customers. So where we see a huge advantage of serving photographers better, cutting more time for them out of the workflow, or increasing their sales. That's basically what we're looking at. The acquisition that we just announced is around editing and graphics creation, especially in the sports photography market. So if we look at sports photography, the biggest issue that you have is the different sports graphics that you have to create for your customers. Yeah. Everyone is expecting a memory made. Everyone is expecting their kids to look like heroes. And they also, I mean, they're right. That's how it should be. That's what sports is about.
Exactly.
Create heroes. And we just announced that we acquired Next Gen Photo Solutions, which is a company that actually outsources the creation of graphics completely for photographers. And in combination with an e-commerce tool like GotPhoto, it can be very powerful because we can just cut the time on the workflow a lot while we create great imagery with high quality that increases also the sales for the photographer. This combination was huge for us, and that's why we took over the business together with also the founder, Wes Kroninger, who will continue to work at GotPhoto and help us shape the product Next Gen, but also the product GotPhoto into the future to have a sales and marketing offering for sports photographers in total.
Yeah, because some of the things that they do here is kind of interesting, where they create the composite, like the team photo and things like that are really, value added products, and also, are kind of difficult for photographers themselves to capture a lot of, because of, just getting a team shot can be a challenge. But that's more on the editing side. It's not really something that GotPhoto is known for. Is this like a change or an enhancement to your direction?
It's certainly a new service that we're offering. Yes, we had editors always plugged into our platform as like a service, but it was always a third-party service. So that is, with this acquisition, it's the first time that we move into the editing services side. We also see Next Gen as like the beginning of investing more into that and automating a lot. I mean, AI is a topic that is all around us. So we see great opportunities looking at Next Gen and investing further also with AI technology into that business and creating even faster and more reliable solutions for sports photographers.
And it does continue sort of your digital first approach, right? You're taking what the potential is of digital and then extending it.
Exactly. I mean, and what it also does is like, and this is kind of like vision that we have. So we believe in the future, the photographers should not create just one memory made and present it to the customer, but the customer should decide out of 3 or 4 designs what they want. Basically, can click that together. And this is where we're heading with this acquisition, because Next Gen has been known for huge quality or great quality in their imagery and in their designs. And we see that as super valuable to photographers. And if you can make this a scalable solution that's almost instant, then we created a really, really great product for the photography industry to go out and grow and increase sales.
But people will still be able to plug in their own editors, right?
Yeah, exactly. They can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is not an exclusive thing where it's a big change in direction for you. It's just an enhancement of something you're already doing.
Exactly. We will never force people to go on path on the editing side, not at all. We just see this as like a stream where we can streamline a lot of things and create a really, really good experience for the photographer. If they want to use it or not on the GotPhoto platform itself, up to them. They can also use the NextGen service going forward and use it with a different platform. We're not limiting that either.
Okay, so NextGen will still be a standalone entity as well as integrated within GotPhoto.
Correct. Yeah.
That's
starting.
Because that's what people kind of, when they hear acquisition, they kind of think, okay, now I can't use them anymore, but you still can't.
No, you can. You can still run your normal NextGen jobs through. There will be obviously enhancements between GotPhoto and NextGen that it runs smoother. And going forward, there might be also workflow enhancements on that front. But the service as it stands there today can be just used and continue to use also going forward.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Alex Brayshaw. Join me as I celebrate the positive impact of business and what drives the people behind it. It's a chance to hear from business leaders, emerging sectors and industry influencers about their unfinished business in just 25 minutes.
So is this going to be a greater emphasis for the company on the sports and event side of it, in addition to the traditional school portrait market?
So what we see is we see a movement away from this traditional sports shoots, really over to the virtual sports that NextGen is also promoting a lot.
Yeah,
and that helps with a lot of things. You can scale it a lot more. It's a lot more sophisticated in terms of like having great quality imagery throughout. It's easier to operate. There's a lot of great things coming with it. So it will help school photographers to also go into the sports market, we believe, because you can just outsource a lot of things. We actually proved this also with some of our customers who were complete school photographers, but then with this integration that we actually built before already. So there was always an integration between NextGen and GotPhoto where you can pass images around. And they have actually entered the sports photography market with that. So it just helps photographers to also move into sports, which is naturally a more SMB type market because the larger photographers like LiveTouch especially haven't captured so much market share here.
So the volume market has been in the news a lot lately. Just in general, the entire market, right? With a lot of people getting into the market. There have been, obviously, you mentioned a major player who, it's no secret, they've been struggling in the market. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. And so it's creating a lot of opportunity for people. And it's also created a lot of interest from a lot of, investors and private equity and those kind of companies. Why do you think volume photography, just as a category, is attractive for those type of entities right now? What makes volume photography a great idea, a great investment?
That's a good question. I can't speak for
right. Yeah, I know you're not speaking for everyone, but obviously,
I think if you look at the volume photography market, it has been proven to be quite crisis resistant. If you just look at COVID itself, right? Yes, in COVID, every business struggled, but the bounce back in our industry has been really, really strong, and it also developed quite well afterwards. I also don't see that AI, for example, is a threat to the images that we create, because it's really images that you create of a human being that parents know how the kid's face looks like and the expression, and an AI cannot generate that. Yeah, that has to be done by photographers. Right. And these memories are just so valuable. I mean, we create products here that people really want. Yeah, so this is something that is easily sellable, and it's just it will always be a business. And I think with that, it's just very crisis proven. That is one part. Digitization is the other one. And if we look into what movement, I mean, part of the struggles of larger players and also the digitization in the market that is going on, right, is leading towards the market changing into a more digital environment, but also an easier environment for different photographers to move into. Where like 5-6 years ago, a wedding, if you would have asked a wedding photographer to photograph a school, they would have to answer a lot of operations questions, which they might not wanted to do. But today, it's more like, hey, here's a software tool that helps you doing this, takes all of the headache topics of workflow and organizing stuff away. And with that, it's way easier to take on this work as well. And the emphasis will lie on the imagery and on capturing this memory. And I think this is the great business, reliable business to be in. And with that, we see a lot of profitability, a lot of resistance and resilience in this market. And I think that makes it quite compelling. But that's, again, Benedikt's take on this, right?
Exactly. No, that's what we're looking for, is your take. So, I mean, I remember when I went to SPAC earlier this year, they talked about how there were so many new people coming to the convention to look at platforms and ways to get in. Because I think, you know, the barrier to entry has been lowered to some extent for some people. And platforms like yours help with that.
Yep. That's exactly what we're seeing as well. We see a lot of people coming in that have their first shoots. And what we saw as well on the GotPhoto platform, and we just looked into the past 2 years data that we have there, especially in the United States, the people are growing at a fast pace as well. We have like success stories from photographers who started with our platform out a couple of years ago doing 20, 30,000 in sales and just continue to grow up to 1 million and more within 2-3 years. That is incredible growth for a business owner. And I think that will be stories that we see more often in the future as well, because technology enables them to do that. Lower entry barriers, as you say, but also easier growth, because the platform can grow with them instantly. That's what it is. And you don't have to think about almost like hiring people, because the software is just taking so much away. You can easily scale this into a decent sized business without taking any employees on.
And the other thing that I think is interesting is you mentioned COVID earlier. I think COVID was a wake-up call to many photographers, and it gave them the chance to reevaluate their entire process, because they couldn't go into schools, and when they could, they had to do it touchless. So a lot of people went digital because they couldn't do paper forms anymore. And now all of a sudden people are seeing the advantages of it. And I imagine the accelerated adoption rate of people going from paper to digital has got to be, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's got to be pretty fast.
I agree to that. And I think it did one more thing. It actually helped the companies that have been able to shape things very quickly into a new fashion, been very resilient. And it hurt a lot of companies that have been stuck in the past and actually tried or relied on this paper-heavy workflows also in the future. So it's kind of a natural shift of the market towards the companies that have been able to change things around very quickly and adapt to the new environment.
No, I mean, GotPhoto has been around since 2012. I mean, you've been preaching this since forever, and then this incursion into the market, if you will, kind of forced the hand for a lot of people. Where I think, for a lot of years, the volume photography market was very stable and static and kind of old school, right? It's very, that we're going to give it. This is the product we're going to give because this is the product we do. And now they've become much more customer responsive, not only to the school, but now to the parents. They have to actually provide products for the parents that the parents want. Now the parents are getting used to seeing things like, oh, look, there's proofs on my phone now. I didn't have that before. And it's within minutes of the shoot, and I can do more with it. And I can do these kind of things. So I think that is going to drive revenue, is not only are you pleasing the school, who is the first customer, and remember now the ultimate customer, who was kind of removed from the school photographer to some extent, is now going to be a benefit. And I think that's going to drive a lot of the business.
I agree, and I think there's one addition that we have to make with all of the technology coming around and taking all the workflow headache away, automating a lot of stuff. The picture quality itself becomes more and more important.
Right.
Because in the past, if you really could have run a good process, you had a real business advantage over others, especially the smaller players. But with all technology coming into play, the imagery that you produce will be one of the key differentiators that you have as a photographer and as a photography business. And that's why we also believe something like a next-gen acquisition will just help our photographers a lot to have a strategic advantage, because we just create better imagery and better memories for the parents. And that's exactly what photographers should focus on.
Yeah, because if you think of what the camera capabilities are now compared to some of the others, are you seeing any more interest in things like video type deliverables, or is that coming down the line?
So we, particularly at GotPhoto, we do not get the request a lot in volume photography. We have seen that rather on the portrait photography side of our business. This is something that we will eventually look at, but it has not been a pressing issue. I know there are several use cases or several photographers in the business starting to preach video, and I think this is a format that the industry still has to learn, because it's quite tough to generate a video in this short period of time that you have with a kid. Yet still, maybe for preschool, for example, preschool photography could be something that is coming sooner than later. But that is currently not on the roadmap in immediate terms.
Okay, yeah, because like you said, I always hear people talking video, and I've done some podcasts with people who have like sort of these automatic video creation platforms. But you know, the reality is, and again, I'm not knocking that, but the reality is, like you said, you've got 28 to 35 seconds to get a picture of a kid. So you can't have, you know, a full suite of pictures to shoot. And I don't know how many, you know, whether you can do some AI to generate different poses and some do different things. I know people are playing with that sort of thing, but in the end, it's got to be done efficiently and in a financial model that makes sense. And I just don't think it's there yet.
I think we will see a lot of innovation in that space coming in the next years, especially with AI together. And I think that there will be ways to creating these memories with moving images, however that will look like. But currently on the GotPhoto side, we're not investing into this at this point.
So we're in the middle of the shooting season right now when we're talking. So what are you seeing and hearing right now going on in the market? What are your customers saying? How's the season going?
I mean, so whenever you ask someone in the season how it's going, they say busy. There's always this slight tension. And I think this is what high season is about for everyone. So I think we will look at it after Thanksgiving. And that's exactly when we know what's going on in the market. Because leading up to it, it's mainly like gearing up, having all the new workflows that we created for the photographers down. There have been some enhancements to the platform. This is what we mainly talk to them about. We have new sales capabilities for sports products that increase sales. We also launched new functionality on the marketing side. So there's different things that we train photographers on, launched a new payment service. That creates a little bit more reliability on payment, but also gives more payment options. So that's what we've been most focused on. And to be honest, after the season, it's a better time to really lean back and talk to them and ask them like, hey, what's been good, what's been bad, tell me everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then we figure it out from here. But that's just how it is. That's the nature of the business.
I mean, for the most part, they're probably too busy to talk to you unless I imagine your support people are quite engaged right now, but just a lot of chatter back and forth, probably not happening.
Yeah, you would be surprised. Some people have time to talk to me, but it's mostly when something's not right. That's exactly when I get on the phone, which is totally the right thing to do. And super happy to help wherever it's necessary. But yeah, we try to leave them at their business, doing what they do best, and when they need help, we support them. That's how we approach the season.
Well, it sounds like things are moving along quite rapidly there at GotPhoto. Do you have an idea of some of the discussion points you're going to be having at SPAC, for example, in January? Anything to look forward to there?
I think what we're currently working on and what probably will be a discussion point at SPAC is a new shopping cart that we're working on.
Okay.
There might be something that we can present. Obviously, with this new addition to our platform with NextGen, that's something that we will also look into. What are the new capabilities that we can show then? This is mainly what we have cooking right now. There might be other updates down the line. As you say, it's rapidly changing. We also get new leadership people on board currently. We spend a lot more time on strategic discussions rather than we had before. I mean, if you just look at the size of the business, 1.5 years ago, I think GotPhoto was an 80 people company. Today we are 180.
Wow.
So this size and this growth, we have to digest a little as well.
Yeah.
And I think in 6 months from now, you will see this business just perform one topic after the other, and bring things to the market a lot quicker than we have done that in the past 6 to 8 months, because we were quite busy building out the structures that we need in order to grow further into the future.
Well, thanks, Benedikt, for your time. I appreciate it. Congratulations on the NextGen opportunity. Hope that we'll look forward to hearing more from you in the future. And best wishes for getting through the busy season.
Thanks, Gary. Have a good time. Talk soon.
Thank you for listening to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. Read more great stories and sign up for the newsletter at www.thedeadpixelssociety.com.